Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you today? It is so nice to have you all here with us. Feel free to turn on your cameras. We love seeing smiling faces. Feel free to throw in the chat your name, who you work for, where you're from.
I see so many familiar faces. It's fantastic.
I know. Oh, Miss Nisha, it's so good to see you.
You too. Thank you, Greg. Hi, Rosalinda.
Hello, Nisha. Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Alrighty.
Hi,
I think
Jackie.
we're
And
gonna get.
Jackie.
Good morning.
Jackie and Jacqueline, I should say.
Hi, Rosalinda. Hello, everyone. Pedro says hi. Hi, Rosalinda.
Hello, Pedro. Send you a big hug as well.
Good morning. Thank you for joining. Yep, we love seeing all the smiling faces on camera. Feel free to jump in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, all that great stuff. But we're going to get started. I want to thank you all for joining California Placement Association's first webinar of the new school year. Year's almost over, like pumpkin spice season is with us now. But yeah, this is our first webinar of the new school year. Do you want to take a moment to give a huge shout out to Transfer Inc. They are our sponsor for the year for the California Placement Association. We appreciate that. They are the leader in virtual training. They're using the Oculus Rift and for the virtual reality, and your students can utilize their training programs to learn how to do welding and painting and nursing and practice in the virtual world. So when they then go out in their internships, they already have the skills they need to really succeed out there. So we really appreciate Transfer. Definitely check out their website, Transfer Inc. We appreciate them. With that, I want to do a quick introductions of our board members, our CPA, because we couldn't do this without them, and we'd love to have you become a member of CPA. I'm going to start off with our president. I see her here, Christina Lee. It's so great to see you. You want to say hi and pass it off to someone else?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Greg, and everybody for putting this on. Yes, we have wonderful members. We have wonderful board members, and we're very dedicated to bringing a lot of workforce development services and a lot of good things for everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosalind, you want to go next and just pass it off to someone else?
Sure. Wow. Thank you for that opportunity. Good morning, everyone. Rosalinda Rivas. I was a former CPA president and other titles. So thrilled to be here. Apprenticeship director at Moreno Valley College currently, but still supporting CPA and all the great work that they do. If you're new, let me tell you, it is a dynamic team with so many phenomenal speakers, and it's great to have them here. So I'm going to kick it off to, I'll see, I'm going on my screen. So Jackie, I'm going to kick it off to you, Jackie.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jackie Kennedy Harris. I am with JKH Career Coaching and Consultant, and I am the board as the employer rep for the Northern region. And I will now pass it to Lorraine.
Morning, everyone. I'm Lorraine Cepeda, Fresno City College job developer, the Northern Region Educational Rep. Did I get it right, Greg?
Sure, sounds good.
Thank you.
Nisha, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nisha Hill. I am the job developer and placement coordinator at Mount San Jacinto College, as well as the vice president of the South region for CPA. And I'm going to pass it on to Jessica.
Girl, you know I love you. Okay, yes. So my name's Jessica McGrath. I'm job development specialist for Bakersfield College and also the Central Region Education Rep, I think, something along those lines.
I think our last board member here, I'm going to save the best for last. Carrie, let's introduce you, and then if you want to introduce Celine, because you guys are personal friends here. And then we'll hand it over to Celine to take over.
Hi, thank you. I'll save the best for last. I don't know about that, Greg, but thank you so much. I'm Carrie Abe. I'll put my information there down below, but I'm the Central Employer Rep for CPA, and I'm also the founder of CareerWise Consulting, which does strengths-based job developer training, which I have a few members here today that are going to be in the upcoming course September 12th. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm super excited to introduce Celine. I actually met her, gosh, how many months has it been now, Celine? It's been a very long time, but from the very beginning of meeting her, I thought, oh my gosh, her energy, her knowledge, her foundation in HR and how that applies to what we do is just phenomenal. And from the feedback definitely we got from her last presentation, her approach too, you love her, you know, it makes me think of that Sally Fields. They like me, they really, really like me, right? I mean, that's the feedback we were getting last time you were here, Celine. So I'm super excited that you're here today and you're going to be talking about branding. I know you'll have a lot of great takeaways for everybody in attendance, and I just want to welcome everybody that's managed to block out some time in their busy schedules to join us today. Thank you so much. Take it away, Celine.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes? Thank you, Carrie. Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. I am so happy to be back. My last presentation was you guys were so engaging and I loved it. So I'm thankful to be here. Yes, Carrie and I met through a program or through something that we joined together, and a part of that program was about kind of like building like not only our systems, our business systems, but also kind of like putting it to work, right? So a little bit about myself. Let me see if I can share my screen. As was mentioned earlier, my name is Celine Schultz-Perez, and I am the owner of my HR firm. So first of all, I love what you all do. I think that what you do is amazing. I get to work with the students, or I guess the people that go through your programs, and I get to help place them and onboard them. In my role, what I currently do as I own my HR firm. So I work with small businesses to help them with their HR concerns. As I was saying, is that I am so appreciative of what you all do. I work with local college in our area. I'm out of Texas, but I've been placing a lot of your students, working with individuals like yourselves at our local colleges and our community colleges and universities to place individuals that are wanting to get some experience. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I see that the kids are coming out. Again, the college students that we're working with are coming out with amazing skill sets. So we're so happy that obviously what you guys are doing is working. It's so important, because then I get them, right? And we get them employed in the workplace, and then our part starts, right? So one of the things that I do is I help onboard my clients' new employees. And so that's very critical. In fact, yesterday I had the conversation with 2 interns that we started, and they had never been through the process of or they'd never gotten a job before. And so I started with, saying, this is what we're doing. This is orientation. This is what we do. And so I'm hoping that they will kind of take that, because for them, this is kind of ground zero in terms of what can they expect from their new role? When do they get paid? Obviously how much they're getting paid, how they go about entering hours, all that good stuff. So I had some really good feedback, and I did it this is through a workforce program. So we're kind of like working together, me along with the state program and the university. So thank you all so much. So as an HR director, in my prior role, I started my business about 1.5 years ago. I was able to, me and our management team, we had let me close this. I was charged with, we have 40 employees, and now we're going to grow the company. And we developed all the systems and the people systems, the processes. So it was wonderful. I loved what I did. I was there 4.5 years. Within that time, we were able to go from 40 employees to over 90 employees. And now they're over 100 employees using the same skills, the same processes and programs that we implemented at 40 employees. So I realized I loved doing that. And so when I left the company, I decided that I was going to help other small businesses. Very often they have my ideal client has anywhere from 30 to 100 employees, and they don't necessarily have like an HR department or an HR person. It's usually somebody who's been tasked with that, but they don't necessarily have the skill set, right? So that's kind of where I've started and what I've done. And so why I, enjoyed doing this, let me see here. Now I can't get out of it. There we go. So why I've enjoyed doing this is that I have built my personal brand unintentionally and not really knowing what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to go talk to entrepreneurs. And that's basically what I've done. And year one was fantastic. But as I move from year 2 to year 3, I'm realizing that I should have been more intentional. I should have had more of a strategy when building my marketing / branding. So I tell everybody, whether or not you realize it, you do have a personal brand, and we are always developing our brand. And so it's really critical for everyone, right? So when they say, what is a personal brand, right? It is the process of defining and promoting like what you do and what you stand for, right? It is not just, how you look or how you dress or how you speak, but it's everything. It's where do you come from in terms of experiences, skill set, and what you believe. So we think personal brand. Some of us may automatically think social media influencers, right? Freelancers. Those are easy, right? They just go around taking selfies and videos, and they're not really doing much. They're just being themselves, right? But I encourage you to think of your personal brand more of like, as if you're a freelancer, if you're a business owner, if you're a speaker, if you are trying to build an effective personal brand to sell something, right? A service or a product. So for everyday individuals, right, a personal brand can improve your confidence, can open the doors to new opportunities, and can help you kind of like better, understand yourself. So as I reflect, I think, I've been kind of out on my own, really building my personal brand as an entrepreneur. I realized, as I was getting this presentation together, that I've really been doing this for longer than a year and a half. I've been when I was employed, I love what I do. So I advocated for my company in terms of building our team and advocating and really kind of blowing, tooting our own horn about we hired this person and we hired that person. And so that was very much, and that became a part of my brand. So when I shifted, I recognized that people kind of already knew that I did HR, right? Now I was doing it on my own. So that's kind of something that I came to realization. So for you as you're kind of counseling your individual, your students, they definitely have a brand. I encourage you to tell them, what is your brand? If I look you up on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, like what is a prospective employer, right? Or maybe they want to get into a school, let's say, professional school or something like that. What is that? Are you going to be a good ambassador to their program, whether it's through employment or through, a member of their school, right? So bottom line, and this came from several resources, that a brand is built on trust and reputation. So we tend to think that our brand is just about like, we have to have 1,000 people or thousands and thousands of people, when in actuality, that's not true, right? You need to have trust. If you're trying to build your personal brand, you need to look at your reputation. Do people trust you? And it's not for, the thousands of people, but for whomever is in your industry, in your space. So if you're an educator, you do have a brand, you have your students that will give you feedback and that tell you, she's a tough she's a tough teacher, or, oh, she's really nice, but she's very fair, things like that. So the importance now, the trend that we're seeing is that personal branding is the future, right? As we become more digitally interconnected, people want to know about us before we even, if you ask for a referral to for a coach for something, or a referral to a landscaper, that you're going to Google them, right? You're going to look them up and be like, okay, well, let me see, what do they say about her, or him? And that's just common standard practice nowadays. So, and the other thing is that personal branding is highly profitable, not just for influencers. Let's say that it's for everybody. So anybody from someone like myself who owns her own business, to maybe you are a W-2 employee somewhere, and somebody else, because of the persona that you put on your profiles, on your social media profiles, or just your associations, your network, they're coming to you saying, I hear you're amazing at this. Would you consider joining us, right? Would you consider jumping ship and maybe coming to work for us, So when that happens, nobody goes to another job at the same pay, right? No, you're going to go because there's better benefits, there's more pay, maybe more flexibility. So this is a really good byproduct of developing your personal brand. The other thing is that it is a trust accelerator, right? It's human nature for us to trust people that we learn from, trust people that entertain us, and people that are, we share details of our lives, right? So if you can, and I hesitated a little bit with this one because I am just naturally a pretty private person. I feel like there's a line, like I don't want to overshare, I love my privacy, but yet I think to myself, well, I need to tell people what I do. And in order to do that, I have to share with them about me, right? Because I am the only person that I have right now. I have a couple of help, but for the most part, it's just me. I have a couple of VAs. And so I have to kind of get over that mind drama and share, certain projects that I'm working on, or just to kind of be more open to that. And so as soon as I started kind of adopting that mindset, the mindset of I have to share with my community what it is that I do and how I can help them, that completely shifted how I showed up for my social media. So there was a study, I need to cite this, but on what are the most influential factors, hold on one second, influential factors in making a decision on who you will buy from. And this survey was does a podcast help? Did they have a podcast? If they have done a TED Talk, if they've published a book. And most people, or 62% of the people that answered, this was in the United States, said that testimonials were important. And 56% said that if the individual gets paid for their advice, that is a source of credibility, right? So they're going to say like, okay, I'm going to take this person seriously. Like this is what they do for a living. And then of course, testimonials. And I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that we had some trees that needed work. And so we Googled it, of course, and we found an arborist, right? That was able to help us with our trees that we didn't know what was going on. So again, testimonials help, and as educators, or in everything that we do, most of us have performance reviews, right? Whether it's feedback from our existing clients or feedback from our managers, that the idea behind a performance review is to let you know how you're doing and to let you know how can we improve, right? So these are all things that are happening. So you may think, well, no, I don't need a personal brand. Well, you have one. And even if you think that like you don't, you think about your last performance review. What are some areas that maybe you identified within yourself that you needed to work with or work on, things like that. And so again, testimonials, feedback is critical to us kind of becoming better. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 5 simple steps to build and boost your brand. If somebody had told me at the beginning of my entrepreneurship, oh, Celine, you're going to have to do this too, I think I would have like run for the hills, because when you think about branding and you think about being visible and getting out there, that's like the last thing that someone like myself, I'm kind of introverted, would want to think about. Like that would kind of almost be a deal breaker for me. I'm like, I love business and I love people and managing people. And so that's kind of what I would tell you. Just focus on what you love doing, but also be intentional about the things that you're doing. So there you go. So when I sit with people and I'm like, okay, well, what is your goal? Like that's pretty much key to figuring anything out, right? You assess the situation, right? Is it that you want a new job? You want a promotion? Maybe you have like a side hustle that you're like very interested in monetizing. You want to start a business or just attract new opportunities in your current role. Then what is it, right? So we determine, okay, so if somebody wants to, I'm at a job and I kind of want to, in the next year or two, if my goal is to either get a promotion or find another opportunity, okay, those are kind of like 2 in 1, right? The action step here is to write it down. And I say write it down, it sounds so simple, but I like to put it on my phone, on my notes, depending upon how big the project is or the goal is, I actually write them down in my planner. So with the idea that what is managed is measured, right? So that the first step is kind of easy because you're kind of, you know where it is more or less that you want to go. The second step is to get clear on what it is that you want to be known for, right? So is it you want like, and again, not just the job title, right? So what are the things that make you unique? And what topic do you know a lot of? So you guys are experts in the field of career development, right? So you could easily say, I'm going to, just offer DISC training or personality training. And I'm going to offer that like just to, individuals that I think would benefit from it, right? So my advice here is to get very clear, right? So if you're visiting with a student that wants to become a teacher or is a teacher and they're doing really well, a teacher, okay, well, it's not just a teacher, right? Be super clear. A teacher that specializes in helping parents, here's an example, in helping parents with children that have special needs. Oh, just like that, like people understand, okay, they know exactly what you do. The other thing, another example is, oh, I'm a chef. Okay, well, what kind of chef? There can be a vegan chef, a pastry chef. And so if you're building your personal brand around that, that's really cool because you can do all sorts of videos or reels that can really gain you some followers or popularity, which popularity and followers sometimes equals credibility. That's what we're really after. Same thing here with a landscaper. Actually, are you just not just a landscaper? There's no such thing as just a landscaper, but can you elevate or better describe what you do by saying, oh, I am an arborist, right? I specialize in trees. I had no idea that people do that. It makes sense, right? But there's a market for everything I've learned. And so in this second step of building your brand, you want to be really clear on what it is that you want to be known for. So for me, I want to be known for developing and building HR departments for HR departments of one, right? We can get that. I'm not going to go after Microsoft or Google. I want to help the small businesses there's so many of them with just one person in that department. And that's very challenging. So the action item here is to write it down and get creative with, okay, what is it that you do, and what is it that's going to give you that unique value proposition, right? So the next step would be to know your audience. Who you decide to focus on should be based on two things. Number one, who can gain the most from what you have to share? And two, how can you see yourself helping them? So this kind of makes it like not about you at all, but all about who is it that can really gain value from my knowledge. And so again, that helps me from getting out of my mind drama of like, oh, what do I post? How do I go out there and put myself out there? It's really all about the value that you can give them. So the other things that you might want to consider is know your audience. So who are they? What do they read? Where do they hang out? What are some key demographics? Do they listen to certain podcasts? So again, if your ideal client is a business owner, or if you're trying to get in front of business owners, then ask them like, okay, you probably go to the chambers of commerce, right? Maybe you, if you work with CPAs, if you're trying to become a client of a CPA or anything around that, there's all sorts of associations, right, that will help you. Will tell you, you just tell them, this is what I'm doing, and they'll say, oh, great, like, we'll help you. That's been something that I have learned, that if you just go to an event and with the idea of, I'm going to pick up, 2 or 3 business cards, and then I'm going to follow up with them with an email, that has taken that, like, it's not fear, but there's like there's some friction there sometimes for me when I go to events and I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody. I'm going to go and tell them what I do. Okay. I like that. I love talking about my business, but how am I going to make sure that I'm getting value from the 1 hour, the 1.5 hours that I'm taking out of my schedule, right? So again, going to places where my audience is. I went to a Chamber of Commerce event yesterday, and I was able to pick up and make a couple of contacts. And the idea was, maybe they know somebody that could help, that needs my services, right? And so right away, when somebody asked me, what do you do? And I told them, and they said, oh, you know what, give me a call. I'm going to give you my card. Give me a call. I'd like to introduce you to some people. Again, business owners know that, like, hey, what I do is critical to an organization. So they're happy to refer me. So it doesn't always happen that way, but it has happened more. It's going to happen more when you go to places where your people are, right? So I think that that's critical. And so the action step here would be to do the research. If you are an educator and you are thinking, you know what, I'm going to build my brand because I would love to write a book, right? You are going to probably maybe go to, here in Texas, right? It's the Texas Education Agency. Get in front of that audience, and maybe, if you want to speak to them, or do speeches, right, to that organization, just do the work. And we all know people that know people, right? So that's kind of like a really cool thing. And so it's a cool thing when you can kind of put that together. It's like a puzzle, right? And you put it together and you're like, well, if I want to go speak in front of the Texas Education Agency, right? Or in California, right? That would be that California. I'm not sure what they call it in California, but the similar agency. Then I'm going to put myself in places where I know that I can be seen. So again, being strategic about where it is that you are networking and who it is that you're talking to about your business is going to be so critical to building your brand, right? So here's something that's not going to be fun, but I make it all easy, okay? So number 4 is to create a mission statement. Very simple. What do you do? Who do you do it for? And then the most important thing is to include the transformation that you create. So I think I said it. I said, I say what I do all the time. So I say that I work with small businesses that have anywhere from 30 to 100 employees. I help them with develop their human resources department. Very simple. And then I always include, and it starts with, looking at your employment handbook, whether it's creating an employment handbook or updating it. I've added that last sentence in there because I want to make it very clear on what it is that I do, right? Because you can say, oh, I help small businesses. Well, how exactly do you help small businesses, right? And so again, this has happened unintentionally. I've kind of learned this through trial and error, which has cost me some time, and I'm sure a few clients, but the benefit to having me here, and I love to share this, is that be super clear, because it takes away some of the possible confusion, right? Here's another example. I'm Eddie Rodriguez, and I love being a second grade special education teacher. I work with amazing kids who sometimes find thinking, emotions, or moving a bit hard. So my goal is to teach them important life skills so they can learn and grow in their own way. Okay, this is for a special education teacher. In the state of Texas, we are having a major shortage. So I know that we're kind of working on a campaign to talk about this profession, and that means highlighting a few key, few instructors like Eddie to do that. So write it down and then place it somewhere prominent. This is like my own mission statement / elevator speech. I have it on my phone, and I'm always trying to tweak it and improve it, make it better, so that it is more clear. And then the last one, which for me has been the most challenging, is to build your personal brand online. So when developing this topic idea and working with Greg and the team, I found that I was qualified to talk about this, not because I'm an expert, but because I'm doing this, and I'm only a couple steps ahead of anybody who's interested in building their personal brand. I started as soon as I became intentional, things started shifting for me. So I do have a personal website. I picked a social media platform. I love LinkedIn because that's where I'm told that my people are. I've been posting 2 times a week for a while now. And for so long, it was like, there was nobody there. And then I told somebody, I said, I'm told go to LinkedIn because that's where your people are. And they're like, you know what, just keep on doing. LinkedIn is known for there's a lot of people that just don't necessarily engage, but they're there and they're watching. And so it's so crazy because after that, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to be consistent, which is, I think, a secret to life, right? Be consistent in all things. As soon as I was like, okay, forget it, I'm just going to keep going, I started getting clients from LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So all this work has not been for nothing. So my advice here, again, I'm not an expert, but I'm gaining some clients, and I'm getting some pretty good feedback from my personal brand, is to be consistent. And so for me, the action step would be here. What I would recommend is to write it down, because, or tell somebody about it, because you need to have almost like an accountability buddy, And so I was in a program, and so we do have accountability buddies, and it's like post 2 times a week. It seems like it doesn't take that long, but what has really changed it for me is me engaging with people. And so there's something about that. I think it's the LinkedIn algorithm likes it when you engage. So it just sends more. I've just gotten more followers. I don't know LinkedIn like that well, but all I know is to be consistent about it, engage with people that you want to work with, not in a salesy or, super calculated way, But I can tell you that for me, I've gotten a couple of clients, and that's been like that. I just want to do if I knew how to do a cartwheel, I would do cartwheels. I don't. But so some things to remember is, I think I'm almost out of time, but this is a long-term strategy. So this is not something that you're going to get results tomorrow. You may, but this is just more like, this is who you are, and people like consistency, and I like consistency. I've learned to like consistency because people can trust that, right? All of a sudden you're credible, because if they're going to introduce you to their friend because you are the go-to person for career coaching or building that resume, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you know, she's been doing this for a long time. He or she has been on LinkedIn. Go check them out. They have great advice, great free value. And so all of these things that here I am thinking, nobody's watching, nobody's like, is anybody there? You know, you're building your portfolio, if you will, even if it's just on social media, that people can come back to and get to learn from you. So dismiss the mind drama when you're on social. You know, for so long, I've started getting better at doing more videos, things like that. But oh my gosh, I'm like, my hair's not right. I don't look right. What am I going to say? And so I pretend like I'm my boss and I'm reporting to my boss, and just get it done, Celine, is what I tell myself. And so, and another thing that I'm like, you know what, I come to terms with, not everybody's going to like you, Celine. I tell myself that. And so I'm telling you this in the audience, is that it's okay if not everybody likes you. You're not for everybody, and everybody's not for you. So you just want to attract the people that you can really add value and who are going to value your advice, right? So people do business with people, not businesses. So that's the other thing about, you know, if you're in a role like I was in a role that I loved, working for a wonderful company. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but I realized, you know what? I'm being called to do something different, right? My family is changing. My family is growing up, and I'm needing to be at a different place, right? So all of a sudden, I'm not on my own, but it was not a drastic change. You know, I'm doing HR for small businesses, not just one business, right? So that kind of at first I was like, well, what am I going to tell people, that I'm like, I love my job, but I'm just doing this. So again, mind drama. And I think it was just like a little bit of procrastination of putting myself out there. And really, people are like, wow, I saw what you did with that company. Can you help me with my company now? And so putting myself out there has been the difference between making my monthly income goals and not making my monthly income goals. So the other thing is to engage in a way that reinforces your brand and that brings value. When I talk to employees that work at companies, I always tell them, when I go through the employment handbook, I'm like, we all have a personal brand, and we are ambassadors of the company, right? So I used to work with a construction company, and the construction company we had parties, like 2 big parties, and they were fundraisers for the nonprofit that they had. And I was very intentional about, you know what, please don't take photos with you drinking a beer, or, you know, again, human resources is about keep mitigating risk, right? So I'm like, we are all brand ambassadors. So it doesn't matter if we're at work, or even if we're outside of work, you know, we're still connected to the company. And it wouldn't be right for me as the HR person to have video that I'm somewhere dancing on a table, you know, being crazy. That's not going to look well, even though it's after hours. So I always use that example because it happens, you guys. It happens. We're all human, and but we must always be mindful of, what is it? If somebody else is watching, what are the optics? And number one, do we care or not? I certainly care. That's not my personality. I would never do that. But, you know, I we're all humans and there's judgment that goes along. So we have to determine, is the judgment, does it come from a real place of just haters, or is it, okay, that's not cool? You know what I mean? So again, it goes back to engaging in a way that reinforces your brand and that brings value. So here we have the action step is to track your growth and to hold yourself accountable. And that's really, it's really challenging because it's to be consistent and to be like, and hold yourself accountable. So I always, let me go back there. I always tell people, like, you know, you need to, if you can have an accountability buddy, then that's better. But you need somebody, not your husband or your spouse, because you know, you don't want, you want somebody to be like, okay, Celine, you said you were going to make 25 calls today. You know, again, sales is what I'm working on right now. That's one of my goals. So if I'm telling people, I'm going to stop the screen share here. Can you see me? Yes. Okay. So if I'm telling my husband, I say, if you want an accountability buddy, please do so. Please ask somebody that will give you honest feedback, right? Not somebody that's going to sugarcoat it, because an accountability buddy is going to say, you know what, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z, and you didn't do any of those things, right? What gives? Do we need to reassess your goals, or what are we going to do? And it's kind of hurts sometimes. It's a little kick in the pants, but it's something that we all need in order to accomplish the goal that we have set forth for ourselves. So I love it. Does anybody have any questions?
It's not a question. I agree with you 100%. I think we chose branding because for us as job developers and our own personal, our reputation is everything. With our clients and with our employers. And we talk about, burning bridges when one of our students or clients doesn't do well out there and it affects our reputation. I think it's really important. But then we always teach our students too, they need to have their personal brand. They need to sell themselves. And I know, Jackie, you can talk about this, just your personal branding, everything, all your social media relates and matches, your cover letters got to match your resume and has to be you. So I think this branding, it's really important for ourselves and for our clients on so many levels. Totally.
And we don't even realize it, right? But it's like, it just happens that we're like, oh, so-and-so, they know a lot about, and I'm like, I'm a LinkedIn lurker too. I love to see what are different people doing. And it's always the ones that provide value that I'm naturally drawn to, right? So who am I going to think of when I think of career coach? Oh yeah, Carrie does that, right? And Carrie does that on such a great level. Like, absolutely, I'm going to go to her and I'm going to ask her for advice, so.
Yeah, and just one small comment, even little things such as even on like your signature, email signature where you have your icons, LinkedIn, social media, they should all intertwine with the branding. It's like trade dressing what you do. They should all look alike. So when someone sees the logo, if your name's not on there, they're going to know, oh, that's JKH Career Coaching. So it's very important to keep it branded and keep it consistent.
I know you do it really well, Jackie. You should throw your Instagram in there so people can visually see what you're talking about.
Sure.
I think it's funny. Like, I know I don't do like branding, but I think like your reputation, you get it from others. Like, they almost built the brand, your work ethic, our clients' work ethics. That's how people identify, and they almost build the brand for you. On part of it, like branding is so much as a visual aspect of social media, but I just think like the work ethic and what you're known for. It's Nike. What do you think of when you see that logo? They don't need words. You automatically have this connotation. And I think, we'll go, oh, Rosalinda Rivas, like, oh, I know she's awesome at doing this. Like, it comes with it automatically, right? That's the brand. So important for us.
With Jackie, she's an insider too. I mean, she's been on the other side, so she knows exactly what she's talking about in terms of being a recruiter and knowing what it takes to get past all those barriers to get to the right person that's going to get you an interview and get you hired. So, Celine, I want to mention too, we have the group that Celine, a coach that we have in common together, a business coach that we have in common together, has a what she calls the mom approach. And I'm probably going to get this a little bit wrong, Celine, so you can update it. But basically, and it's very effective, and it speaks to what Celine was just saying, you make direct contacts, you reach out to people directly. So our job seekers can reach out to employers directly, making some connections somewhere in the companies, and offer some value. A lot of people are like, how can I offer value, right? Because I just graduated college, or I just did this or did that. But sharing something. Yeah, I saw this article that I thought might be of interest to you because I've been following your company and they're doing XYZ or whatever, right? Just offering value or posting that stuff that's showing the value you're putting out there. And then the third part, which is where most people stop, is then going back and making an offer. So that's the mom, is making direct connections, offer value, and then make an offer. So that last piece, after you've built that relationship, after your job seekers have built that relationships, is really to reach out then. But you have to have that relationship first, otherwise it is that salesy piece. And I think I put that little thing in there about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is changing so rapidly right now from week to week. Again, I haven't seen this since 2012, the pace at which LinkedIn is changing. And ultimately, people that are out there just posting stuff, and I'm guilty of it myself too. I'm so busy, and I'm like, people are like, hey, can you give me information on this? Can you give me information on that? I'm like, I'll just share it on LinkedIn, right? Well, they're probably the only ones seeing it, because when I post stuff that is simply about an upcoming course or something like that on LinkedIn, LinkedIn stops it from being shared widely. They want to see you giving value. They want you to be putting stuff out there. So all of you, everyone here as job developers, and the work you do is so valuable. You're helping people that, for the most part, that, can't afford to hire, a high-end career coach or job developer. And so being able to put that value out there is creating your own brand, which gets you in front of the people that need you, and allows a place for people to connect to you on LinkedIn and reach out to you when they do see that stuff you post, because if they're following you, they're going to see it, and remember that relationship you built with them. So did I get that right, Celine? The mom make connections, offer value, and then make an offer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had, I don't know how you counsel. I need to do more research on this, but we've had a couple for some of my clients that they are asking those questions. Like one of them was, there was it's a marketing agency that I work with, and one of the young, it was from a local community college. He said, what, I would like to, I'm majoring in marketing. I don't know what program he said he was with. And he said, I would like to help. I'd like to offer my services. I know you're having a grand opening. Do you have a photographer? And if so, I would like to be it. And it was like the day before. So this gentleman was like, he was a quick thinker, and sure enough, he was hired on the spot. And I was like, I'm so impressed with just, they're coming out. They're not, a couple of years ago, it was like, I would get resumes, no spell check. Like I was talking to them and they had not done any research just a couple of years ago. And now I'm seeing them. So again, I think there's been a shift. They're much more prepared for the workplace. By the time I'm talking to them now, they have Googled the place where they're applying, and they're asking pretty engaging questions. And that's sign of like, okay, we need to spend our time with this candidate, versus if we get a resume and there's a lot of errors on it, it's like, that's not a good thing. So you guys are doing a good job.
I've got action steps for all of you. So I want to say thank you, Celine. Great topic. You presented awesome as always. Love having you here. Just want to make, if I could, I'd like to make an honorary CPA member, come to the state conference, fly out, present again. But folks, I hope you really enjoyed Celine as much as I did. My action step for you for building your brand is, we do not have a presenter for next month yet. It is September 20th, Wednesday, 11 to 12. It's super easy. Celine, like, she makes it look easy, and it almost really is this easy. Like, this is a chance for you to build your brand. Anything you are an expert on, it's workforce related, shoot me an email, comment in the chat here that you'd love to have the opportunity to build your brand and speak to all of us. We'd love that. I'm excited. October 25th, Greg Watkins from the Markle Foundation is going to be talking about skills-based resume. In November 15th, we have Jeremy Schiffling. Maybe you've seen him. You're going to talk about Chat GPT in the workforce. Really excited. He actually presented last year. Chat GPT and AI is my deep dive right now, and I've seen a bunch of his stuff. Love it. Carrie's going to present in January. So Rosalinda in National Apprenticeship Week in February. So we have a lot of exciting topics lined up. So please look for the emails coming out on those. I saw, I'm just going to keep talking here. If you want to join CPA, the application was sent in there. We'd love to have you. We're the cheapest out there. We are a great group of people. We really want to see all of you at our state conference at the end of February. We're reasonably priced. We're not one of those outrageous ones. It's a great location. I guarantee it's just more of what we're doing here. It's networking. It's hearing great presenters, really thinking in different ways on how we can help present people. So yeah, I want to thank you all for coming today. It's almost lunchtime. I look forward to seeing you all again.
Thank you so much. See y'all soon.